Welcome et bienvenue. This Green Party of Canada leadership debate has been organized by a committee of Ottawa Greens, which are situated on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Nous tenons à vous exprimer notre profonde gratitude pour le peuple algonquin Anishinaabe qui depuis toujours protège et défend cette terre et cette vaste région ainsi que la rivière Kitchissippi. Dans nos efforts de vérité et de réconciliation, nous mettons en valeur les approches et les valeurs des peuples autochtones qui ont le savoir et la sagesse pour nous guider à travers la crise climatique à laquelle nous sommes confrontés partout dans le monde. Je suis Yasmina Dagri, journaliste locale pour la station CHIO 89.1 FM et aujourd'hui je suis votre modératrice pour le débat des candidats et candidates à la chefferie du Parti vert. The format of this debate will consist of opening statement, 6 questions with rebuttal, and then finally question statement. Chaque personne aura l'occasion de répondre d'abord à une des 6 questions. Ensuite, les autres donneront leur refutation. The candidate who is called upon to answer first will be allowed to give a final word before we move on to the next question. L'ordre dans lequel les candidats répondront ainsi que l'ordre des questions ont été déterminés de manière aléatoire. Please note that this is a bilingual event. The recording will be available in both French and English version with subtitles. S'il vous plaît, veuillez noter que cet événement se déroulera dans les 2 langues officielles, c'est-à-dire en français et en anglais, et l'enregistrement sera aussi en anglais et en français avec des sous-titrages. J'aimerais par la suite thank you all, the candidate, for joining us this evening for this debate. Merci à vous, cher auditoire, de vous joindre à nous. Nous allons commencer avec le débat, avec la déclaration d'ouverture, the opening statement, et c'est Simon Gnocchini-Messier qui commence.
Merci, Yasmina. Merci beaucoup. Alors, je suis Simon Gnocchini-Messier, donc je m'appelle Simon Gnocchini-Messier. Je suis un Gatineau d'origine franco-italienne, donc je suis un Canadien français. Je suis père de 3 enfants. J'ai fait des études en sciences politiques. Je suis fonctionnaire fédéral. Ma conjointe vient de la Colombie-Britannique. Et je me suis joint au Parti vert parce que j'ai été inspiré par les 6 principes du Parti vert et parce que je crois que les changements climatiques sont quelque chose de très important qui doivent occuper beaucoup plus d'espace qu'ils occupent présentement. On doit faire face à cet enjeu et c'est quelque chose dont on doit comprendre l'urgence. So, I'm happy to be here tonight and I wish good luck to my fellow candidates. Thank you.
On va aller maintenant avec Sarah Gabrielle. Vous avez 1 minute.
Anna Keenan, Sarah Gabrielle Baron Dijnikaz, Mnidon Mnising Donjaba, Miigwech Wendam Ottawa Centre Greens for holding this event. My name is Sarah. I grew up in Newmarket, which is just north of Toronto, and I've spent the past 22 years living on Mnidon or Spirit Island, otherwise known as Manitoulin Island. I am an educator and a creative writer, a small business woman. I'm very grateful that most of my learning experiences have been with Anishinaabe students, co-workers, elders, and knowledge keepers on Mnidon. I bring that to you in a request for all of us to please consider Indigenous languages and their need for language retention and revitalization programs. I'm looking forward to this debate.
Jonathan Pedneault, your turn.
Merci beaucoup. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to meet up with all of you. I'm calling from Montreal, also known as Jojake, which is on the unceded territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka First Nation. I come to politics from the world of listening and journalism. I believe through my career, I've had the chance of experiencing and seeing conflicts in various areas. I want to bring that knowledge back to Canada as I see our country faced with numerous increasing challenges and crises, whether it's a climate crisis or an unstable international situation. Elisabeth et moi, on propose une formule de co-leadership qui, je l'espère, sera intéressante pour vous parce qu'elle offre d'une part un retour à la stabilité au sein du parti, mais aussi une opportunité de croître. We're doing this to serve you, to serve our communities, to make sure that Canada is ready to face the coming storms, and together, I believe we can achieve that.
Chad Walcott.
Merci Yasmina et bonjour à tous. Merci de vous joindre à nous ce soir. Moi aussi, je vous rejoins de Chefferie, Montréal. My name is Chad Walcott. I'm a longtime community activist with a 10 years experience in politics and community engagement. I hope to bring those skills and my experience to the fore to help the Green Party rebuild on stronger foundations, more inclusive and more democratic foundations, so that we can take our party to the next level. I'm also running in a co-leadership model with Anna Keenan from PEI. Together, we hope to restabilize the party and get us back to talking about issues that are important to Canadians, but very important to Green Party members as well, such as bold climate action, fighting for proportional representation, and building an economy that's centered around well-being rather than profits. I've had experience working in government before. I worked for the City of Montreal for 2.5 years, where I helped citizens navigate the bureaucracy and learn which levers to pull to get their initiatives move forward. And I hope to help the Green Party take that position in each community around the country.
Madame Elisabeth May.
Merci Yasmina, merci tout le monde dans le groupe de Ottawa Vert, les Ottawa Center Greens. Thank you for hosting us tonight. I also acknowledge that I'm here in Ottawa on the traditional territory of the Algonquin, Anishinaabe, and to them I say Miigwech, in my own territory where I'm honored to represent various communities within the Wasanich Nation, where this language is Sanchothan. So I raise my hands to you and say Haishka Sam, of gratitude. I, with the time remaining, just want to say that I'm honored to offer myself to Greens across Canada to be of service in a co-leadership model. I am overjoyed to be working with someone as inspiring as Jonathan Pedneault. The two of us will hit the ground running. I'm already in Parliament. I want to be more effective in Parliament. I don't want the Liberals just patting me on the head. Nice old leader, there you go. We have to make a lot of change and we have to be radical. Thank you.
On va conclure, so we'll conclude with this opening statement avec Madame Anna Keenan.
Salut tout le monde. Hello, bonjour, and kwe. I'm connecting with you today from Ebiguit, or Prince Edward Island, one of the 7 territories of Mi'kma'ki, the territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I've been Green since I was a young student, but a Green in Canada since 2015. I've served as the president of the Prince Edward Island Provincial Greens, now official opposition, and since gaining my citizenship in 2018, I've run in the last 2 federal elections, gaining 26% of the vote in 2019 and being the 4th strongest Green in the country in 2021. Professionally, for 15 years, I've worked for climate justice with organizations like Greenpeace International and 350.org, and I've also led campaigns for proportional representation and sat on the board of Fair Vote Canada. Ce soir, ce sera mon premier événement public complètement bilingue, mais je suis une francophile. Mon fils va dans une école acadienne ici sur l'île et je prendrai le français avec lui. Donc, je ferai mon mieux ce soir et merci d'être ici avec nous.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, on va commencer avec notre première question. Our first question goes to Elisabeth May. You have 2 minutes to answer before the others candidates get 1 minute to give the rebuttal. So, how can Canada take real emergency climate a decision while meeting its needs?
Oui, je vais commencer maintenant. Merci. C'est urgent pour le Canada de faire face à la crise de changement climatique. C'est une question d'urgence climatique. Nous avons voté dans le Parlement du Canada il y a 3 ans de dire que maintenant, nous avons déclaré comme un Parlement du Canada que nous sommes dans une situation d'urgence climatique. Mais le gouvernement a fait presque rien. So we are dealing with a climate emergency. I look at it in terms of what's Canada's role in all this? So many want to minimize it, particularly conservatives, like Canada just is a tiny percentage of the overall greenhouse gases. Why should we care? We have to step up. We have the worst record in the G7. Our emissions have gone up as opposed to 1990 levels. We've gone up by about 20% above 1990. The US has done better than we have. Even after a term by Donald Trump, the US is doing better than we are. The US is getting close to 1990 levels again. Canada remains well above, and we are committed to expanding our emissions. Les planifications des libéraux incluent augmentation de production des produits d'énergie fossile de 23%. C'est incroyable et c'est une stratégie d'échec. And that failure isn't just visited on us, and it's not political. It's about avoiding tipping points in the atmosphere that will be irreversible and self-accelerating. And I am more committed than you can possibly imagine to protect my grandchildren from what is in store unless we stop burning fossil fuels, stop producing fossil fuels, and get serious about the climate emergency.
Merci beaucoup. Maintenant, chaque candidat, you have 1 minute for rebuttal. We'll begin with Jonathan Pedneault.
Well, I don't think there's much debate in there. Il n'y a pas grand-chose sur lequel je suis en désaccord. C'est important que le gouvernement canadien prenne ses responsabilités pour réduire les émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Ça passe par une transformation complète de notre économie. In order to transform and reduce our emissions, we need to transform our economy and make sure that it serves Canadians as opposed to Canadians and nature, serving an economic model that benefits rich people, that makes rich people richer every single second. We're at 1.1 degree of average temperature rise. We're seeing already communities throughout the country being affected by extreme weather events. Meanwhile, our government is choosing to spend billions of dollars with our money, with Canadian taxpayers' money, to give a hidden subsidy to big oil. We're seeing more and more fires, storms, floods. And when these affect Canadian communities throughout the country, then we have federal ministers turning around and asking Canadians to contribute to the Red Cross. That's not good enough. The Greens know about it. We will turn this ship around, and we need to do that now.
Merci beaucoup. On va aller avec Sarah Gabrielle Baron.
See, Greens are serious about the climate emergency. We are in our communities creating the infrastructures now that future generations will need to survive and thrive in the era of climate crisis. I'll be getting us together at least once a week to talk about energy resiliency, small-scale solutions. Greens have a huge bank of knowledge, and we need a leader willing to give the collective the credit to get us together, to get us communicating and showcasing to Canadians that we are already at work in your communities. We need that grassroots ground game to improve.
Chad Walcott.
Parfait, merci Yasmina. Donc, pour justement faire face à la crise climatique et quand même adresser nos besoins en tant que Canadiens, on a besoin de débuter une transition juste. We have to start a just transition. A just transition means we have to be bold and start taxing our fossil fuel companies and regulating them much more than we are currently. And we can do that while addressing our needs by taking those extra tax dollars that they're generating in their massive profit while the rest of Canadians suffer, and investing them in infrastructure that we need today, more housing, more investments in healthcare, and transitioning the workers that are working in the fossil fuel industry to be able to work in our renewable energy sector. And Canada can be a leader in that sector, but we need to be bold and we need to start speaking with Canadians and begin that transition to be leaders in that domain. It's crucial. The future of our planet depends on it, and it's time that we start making a just transition now.
Anna Keenan?
Bien sûr, je suis en accord avec Chad et tous les autres candidats aussi. The question was how do we address the climate crisis while meeting our other needs, as if there's a trade-off? But it's clear, nous ne pouvons pas répondre à nos autres besoins si nous ne réussissons pas à résoudre la crise climatique. La crise climatique affecte déjà des budgets de famille et la viabilité des entreprises. Et l'ouragan Fiona, ici sur l'île de Prince-Édouard, c'est un bon exemple de ça. 13 days after Hurricane Fiona, my house still doesn't have power, along with 20,000 other islanders. Businesses are suffering as a result, and the same effects are seen, whether it's the droughts in the prairies, the derecho in Ottawa, the effects on the atmospheric river on the West Coast. We need to address climate or we cannot meet our other needs. Greens have known this for decades, and we are the voice of reason in Canadian Parliament.
Merci. Simon Gnocchini?
So thank you. So when I do door-to-door, people ask me, I would say, now that all the other parties have some environmental platform, why the Greens are relevant? And so I tell them, like, it's pretty clear. The Green is relevant more than ever because they have environmental platform, but we're still in a bad place and things are getting worse. So we need to have a strong Green Party that will bring what's important to the House of Commons, the climate change, and bring the change that we need as Canadians to make sure that we live a sustainable environment, planet to our children and our grandchildren. And that's why the Greens are so important, and we need to keep working together and pass the message, because the other parties are not doing anything. It's cosmetic what they're doing. They're having a part in their platform, but in fact, you look at the action, their actions don't go in that direction. The action just doing the same old things and even get things worse.
Merci beaucoup. On va aller maintenant avec Madame Elisabeth May, qui vous allez donner un dernier mot sur ce sujet. Vous avez 30 secondes.
Oh, merci. Je veux seulement ajouter que ce n'est pas un choix, comme Anna a dit, entre l'économie et l'environnement. Sans une planète qui est viable, nous n'avons pas une économie non plus. So we must push back on the idea that saving ourselves from the collapse of the biosphere, saving ourselves from climate breakdown is somehow a threat to the economy. We can thrive and we can adapt, but there are levels of climate change to which we can't adapt, and that we must avoid.
Merci. Maintenant, on va aller avec Anna Keenan. Vous avez 2 minutes pour répondre à cette question. De nombreux Verts considèrent le revenu minimum garanti comme un moyen d'empêcher les Canadiens et les Canadiennes de passer à travers les mailles de notre filet de sécurité sociale. Êtes-vous d'accord avec le revenu minimum garanti? Et si oui, comment le mettrons-nous en œuvre et quels sont les défis associés?
C'est une très bonne question et je crois que tous les candidats ici ce soir vont être en accord avec cette proposition. C'est une partie de notre politique vert. Donc, bien sûr, je crois que la première étape en la direction des revenus de base garantis et l'étape que Mike Morris a championné les mois passés avec une introduction de Canada Disability Benefit, parce que nous savons que 40% de les Canadiens en pauvreté sont les personnes avec une disabilité. Donc, si on peut avoir un accord entre tous les partis au Parlement, on peut avoir cette mesure de progrès en direction de Universal Basic Income. The next step after a Canada Disability Benefit, I think, is moving towards a basic income guarantee. And so this is for people who don't have other income, who can qualify for a top-up or payments. We can upgrade OAS and GIS and the Canada Child Benefit to be actually meeting minimum income standards. And then in time, perhaps in another 10 or 15 years, we can move towards a truly universal system where the system of administration is entirely simplified and we have every citizen receiving a universal payment and a radical overhaul of our tax structure. I think that is probably, that for me is the end goal of universal basic income. But to get there, we need to make pragmatic and practical steps. I believe that we do have a majority of Parliament right now who is ready to vote on the basic income for people with disabilities across the country. And I really respect the work that Mike Morris has done, very focused advocacy on that issue these past months.
Merci beaucoup. Now, Jonathan Pedneault, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
I'd say that the end goal of universal basic income is to ensure a dignified life for Canadians, and I want to see that happen. Our economy is increasingly becoming digitalized. More and more people, more and more companies make profit out of thin air. There's an awful lot of money out there. It's not being taxed properly. I think we could and should move as quickly as possible towards universal basic income. I've spent a part of my childhood on social benefits with my mother struggling with mental health issues. I know that a large number of Canadians are aching for a change in their daily life. They're looking for a better living. So much of the climate transition requires time and relies on us having time to cook, time to garden, time to participate in our communities. And all of this time can be made available to Canadians through universal basic income.
Simon Gnocchini.
Oui, merci. Donc, un Canada où tout le monde a des chances égales de réussir, hein, c'est un idéal que le Parti vert veut atteindre, veut mettre de l'avant. Et puis, un revenu minimum garanti fait partie des éléments qui vont nous emmener vers ça. Donc, c'est un élément important. C'est quelque chose de complexe. Ça touche à différents paramètres de l'État, différents programmes qui existent déjà. Donc, c'est quelque chose qui devra être fait en partenariat par un gouvernement vert avec la fonction publique et nous assurer de faire ça correctement et de couvrir l'ensemble des citoyens afin que personne tombe à côté là, de ce programme qui va être très important. Jonathan le disait, la dignité de la vie, des chances égales pour tous, c'est primordial. Puis ce programme-là va apporter un minimum et puis nous assurer que tout le monde démarre dans la vie là, sur des bases similaires.
Elisabeth May, c'est à vous.
Merci. C'est Martin Luther King qui a dit que la seule façon d'élimination de la pauvreté, c'est avec un revenu garanti minimum. Et nous sommes, comme les Verts, le premier parti au Canada avec cette position. Et il y a presque 20 ans que nous avons dans les politiques du Parti vert et dans nos plateformes le demande pour revenu minimum guarantee. So we call it actually guaranteed livable income. We want to make sure that as it goes forward, it ensures that every Canadian has a viable quality of life. I completely agree with Jonathan's point about how we need the time, how we're able to take our time to be more resilient in the climate crisis. But it goes beyond that. It eliminates costs in other programs because it's rather costly to have people going out from the civil service, provincially, mostly municipally, checking up on a single mom if she's moved in with her boyfriend. These are programs based in humiliation, and they must end. It's no way to treat Canadians.
Très bien, Chad de Walcott.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, absolument, je supporte entièrement l'idée d'un revenu minimum garanti. Pour moi, ça fait partie intégrale d'une économie basée sur le bien-être. On sait qu'on est dans la dernière phase ou dans la dernière phase, en fait, du capitalisme. On doit commencer à penser à un nouveau système qui travaille pour les citoyens canadiens et non que les citoyens travaillent pour le système. Je vais me répéter un peu. Je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, on doit commencer pour soutenir UBI, Universal Basic Income. Pour le soutenir, on doit aller taxer les compagnies fossiles, dans l'industrie fossile, qui font des profits incroyables en ce moment. On doit aller les taxer, on doit avoir le courage de le faire et le réinvestir dans nos communautés. Et on a vu que le concept peut se faire à travers le CERB. Donc, ça prend simplement un gouvernement qui a l'audace d'aller dans cette direction et de travailler plus fort pour les Canadiens pour remettre justement cette dignité qui manque.
Sarah Gabrielle.
Merci, Yasmina. En 2015, les Verts ont fait ce politique revenu de vie garantie, guaranteed livable income, not guaranteed basic income. There's an important difference. Cette réforme macroéconomique transformatrice a des implications profondes. C'est une façon d'aller au-delà au paradigme capitaliste. Les députés et nos candidats ont besoin d'expérience et de matériel éducatif pour que nous comprenions tout ce concept et que nous nous sentions à l'aise pour en parler avec les Canadiens. Ensuite, ensemble, nous serons prêts pour une campagne de diffusion auprès des Canadiens. And so in English, I think I have a bit of time, that yeah, we need to have learning experiences together so that we understand the difference between universal basic income and universal livable income. And that's been the missing link, is that we need a leader who is willing to sit with our candidates and help them understand on a regular basis.
Parfait, merci. Anna Keenan, you have 30 seconds for your last word.
Well, I think we are in furious agreement with each other, predictably. And yes, absolutely, Sarah is right. A basic income needs to be a livable income, just like minimum wages need to be livable wages. These are core elements of Green Party policy. One of my favorite exercises when I go door to door, when I meet people who are worried about what would a basic income mean, wouldn't it mean that everybody quits their jobs? I ask them, what would you do if you received a basic income? And the number of people who said, I would have quit my job for 3 years to care for my aging parents. I would have taken more time to care for my children before they went to school, was incredible. And it would just decrease the pressure on other public services so significantly. There are so many good reasons to do it.
So our third question goes for Jonathan Pedneault. The Green Party often needs to collaborate with larger parties to affect policy. Where do you see opportunities for collaboration and with whom?
Clearly, we're headed towards more and more polarization, political polarization in Canada, and that is a very troubling phenomenon. It's something that we've seen in the United States. La polarisation politique actuellement au Canada est un phénomène qu'on doit combattre, et je pense que les Verts, de par notre collaboration, on le démontre d'ailleurs pendant ce débat qu'on est en train d'avoir, énormément de civilité, des bonnes discussions. Je pense que c'est quelque chose qu'on est capable d'apporter au Parlement. Ça fait des années qu'Elisabeth travaille là-dessus, justement, avec ses collègues parlementaires. I'm afraid to say that we're likely to see a Poilievre government, a minority one, I sure hope, but we're likely to see a Poilievre government in coming years. Sadly enough, he's been able to tap in existing anger throughout Canadian society, and that anger, we, the progressives, have not done such a great job at actually listening and understanding properly. We need to get to that work. We need to do that with our colleagues from other parties. I think and strongly believe that there are lots of places where we intersect to some extent with our Liberal and NDP friends. Unfortunately, they're very good at talking the talk and not so much at walking the talk. We need to be able to face an eventual Poilievre government. That will require unity amidst progressive political parties, but also with civil society in general. We need, as Greens, to do a much better work at connecting with green civil groups, environmentalist groups, and civil society throughout Canada. And together, I hope we can put forward a united front against right-wing populism.
Bien. Chad Walcott, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
So we absolutely have to find ways to work across party lines. Mike Morris is doing a great job with that with the bills that he puts forward, and I think that's something a model we need to follow. Already, Anna and I's campaign is attracting attention from progressives, both in the NDP and within the Liberals. And it's something that's exciting because to me, that signals that when we are elected to Parliament as leaders of this party, we will be able to reach across the aisle and work with both of those parties. But we also think it's important to find ways and find MPs within the Conservative ranks to work with as well. The crises that we're facing right now are bigger than party politics, are bigger than party tribalism, and we must find a way to find common cause with everyone who's elected. I agree that Poilievre represents right-wing populist ideology and right-wing populist movement, but he is not the only member of the Conservative Party. We have to find ways to work with all the parties, including the Bloc, we always forget about them, but including the Bloc, to push forward and find ways to exert external pressure as well.
Merci beaucoup, Simon Gnocchini.
So hard to go after Chow with their answer like that. So I would say everything he said. I think we need to work our way through party line and find, common ground on different cases and a way to go forward and make things better for the citizen and the population. And for that, like MPs from the Green need to interact with other MPs and influence them and bring them to, the knowledge of like climate change are there's things are going on. We need to take care of the citizen. Like they're struggling, they're coming and there's anger. Why? We need to question that, not use that to build something like for their own interests, like we saw with some conservative MP. No, we need to understand why there's anger and, make sure that everybody, goes in a direction that will be good for the entire population.
Anna Keenan.
Merci, Yasmina. I'm going to politely disagree with Jonathan. It's not a strong rebuttal, but a polite disagreement. I don't think that a Poilievre government is a necessary eventuality. I think it's a strong risk, but I believe that the Greens, should we be able to strengthen and restabilize our party, can speak to the base that he is attracting. I think there is an element of the base that he's attracting which is quite far off on the right, and I'm not interested in trying to attract those people. But I know that there are many people who are feeling economic frustration at this time, who are feeling frustrated with the lack of progress at the Liberal government. We need to empathize with these people and show them that Poilievre is leading in a direction that will take them further down the deregulated capitalist rabbit hole that will leave them in a worse situation, and that Greens have the solutions to offer. I believe that we can collaborate. We are members of the modern left. Chad and I, we see a lot of common cause with, yes, the Liberals, the NDP, bien sûr, le Bloc Québécois aussi, but there are conservatives that we can speak to and who are becoming more and more alienated from their own historical party because of the extreme right-wing politics.
Très bien, merci. On va continuer avec Elizabeth May. You can go.
Merci. Look, Mike and I work all the time across party lines. I have gotten legislation through. It's unusual for a single member of parliament to even get one law passed under their name. I brought in the bill on Lyme disease, and that is now law. I brought in the bill on banning keeping cetaceans in captivity, and that is now law. And my most recent bill to confront environmental racism and achieve environmental justice has cleared second reading with majority support, and I'm confident it will become law. You don't get there unless you're able to make alliances across party lines. C'était tellement différent d'idée de donner le puits à quelqu'un comme Pierre Poilievre et ses politiques. Mais dans mon vie quotidienne, je fais toujours les alliances avec les autres députés et toujours j'espère que peut-être un ou deux va nous joindre. We need to expand our voice and our clout in Parliament, and I will work with anyone prepared to get climate action.
Merci. Sarah Gabrielle Baron.
Merci. This is happening in our communities. And one of the key principles I think we aren't highlighting enough is nonviolence. Greens lead by doing, and we are loving people. And I think that with a focus in tone in our electoral district association work on fundraising, that we can show within our communities that this fear-based thinking and this conservative, it's frightening because it can be a trend towards fascism, that we just need to band together as Greens and show Canadians that there is another way, that you don't have to go with celebrity style politics, and that by working together in our communities, we create a future that is livable and where young people can thrive.
Jonathan, you can go for your final word.
Well, I'd just like to say that I very much agree with Chad. I think we need to cultivate these cross the aisle, relationships. I've made outreach to Alain Reyes, one of the MPs who quit the Conservative caucus after Poilievre was elected. I meet and greet whenever I'm in Ottawa with a bunch of Liberal MPs and Quebec MPs from the Bloc Québécois who are old friends. So I do have, and so does Elizabeth, a number of these connections, which will be essential for the Greens to move forward and create these coalitions.
Maintenant, on va aller avec Sarah Gabrielle pour votre question. Si vous avez gagné la chefferie du parti et que les élections avaient lieu demain, quelle politique du parti mettriez-vous à l'avant de votre campagne?
Oh, merci. D'accord. OK, alors, toujours, je dis que les membres ont le pouvoir d'un parti vert. Alors, le premier dans mon plateforme, avec sagesse écologique, le premier politique est protéger les forêts, parce que à notre dernier assemblage général virtuel, c'est le politique que les membres ont voté le plus que 90%. Et ces motions, et lors de notre dernière ronde, les Verts ont voté massivement que le devoir de Kenyan de protéger les forêts anciennes. So, c'est notre devoir, premièrement. La crise climatique, mais Elizabeth et Mike Morris font beaucoup de travail au gouvernement, mais quels sont le reste de la partie peuvent faire? Alors, nous devons faire les assemblages, les séances entre les membres pour créer les solutions. Et premièrement, comme GOET P072, un mandat de sécurité alimentaire nationale. Les autres partis n'ont pas mis en place de plan national de sécurité alimentaire. C'est un grand problème. Les Verts sont idéalement placés pour remplir ce rôle pour les Canadiens aujourd'hui. Je vais organiser des tables d'orientation hebdomadaire pour les agricultures biologiques vertes. C'est notre, that's our superpower, right? Is that Greens have a lot of knowledge on organic, local agriculture, and we need to create a food security mandate for this country that is intelligent about the coming climate crisis.
Simon Yoshini, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
Oui, merci. Donc, assurément, les changements climatiques, c'est la question de l'heure. On l'a vu avec, encore Fiona là, qui a frappé la côte Est, les tornades ici dans la région de la capitale nationale, la côte Ouest qui subit là, à chaque année aussi des désastres écologiques avec des feux de forêt. Assurément, il faut protéger les forêts. Ça fait partie là, aussi là, du mandat de contrecarrer les changements climatiques. Vraiment, nos forêts, il faut les protéger, il faut conserver notre couvert forestier. On voit les villes qui l'étalement urbain. Donc, développer une économie verte, donc revoir nos façons de faire. Donc, c'est des sujets dont on pourrait débattre, défendre, mettre de l'avant et faire valoir auprès de la population afin de nous assurer que les changements climatiques sont quelque chose qui sont pris au sérieux et à cette menace à laquelle on doit répondre rapidement.
Elisabeth May.
Oui, j'ai fait avec Mike il y a quelques semaines une conférence de presse avec nos priorités comme un caucus. Et il y a toujours les 3 priorités pour moi. Priorité 1, climat. Priorité 2, climat. Et encore, le climat. The climate crisis requires a very large focus. And exactly as Simon was saying in another answer, people, particularly the Canadian media, think that because the other parties are talking about climate, that there's no space for Greens. If the other parties were talking honestly about climate, we wouldn't be needed. We're needed more than ever because we're the only ones prepared to be honest about the extent of the threat, the solutions that are at hand, and we need to explain them in ways because we have all the policies in the world. You can look on our website. We have done the work, but we have to explain it better. And we have to be confident, and we have to tell people we are the ones who can get you through the coming storms, and we will be prepared. And that work is local, but fighting climate crisis is national and global.
Merci beaucoup, Chad Walcott.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, pour faire face justement à la crise climatique d'une manière efficace, on doit s'attarder aux besoins de la communauté parce que les besoins financiers des Canadiens vont être toujours leur priorité primaire. C'est pour ça qu'on doit installer une économie du bien-être. We have to install a well-being economy. We have to push for universal livable income. Thank you, Sarah. We have to push for a just transition based on regulating our fossil fuel industry to address the climate crisis that Elizabeth mentioned, and that is one that we're seeing every day now. Today was a beautiful day here in Montreal, way too hot for October, but we're seeing the effects of climate change. We need to address it. And we also need to change our electoral system to build one that responds and represents Canadians more. We need to push for proportional representation. So the three policies I would put forward would be the regulating, ULI, and PR.
Thank you, merci. On va aller avec Anna Keenan.
Et merci. Je suis en accord avec Chad, évidemment. L'un des domaines du changement climatique que nous n'avons pas réussi à adresser à cette date est le transport en commune. C'est le parti de notre émission nationale qui grandit et grandit et on doit l'adresser. Nous devons financer notre municipalité pour augmenter le système de transport en commun et aussi le système de transport actif avec les pistes cyclables, etc. Donc, le Federation of Canadian Municipalities a le demandé pour un redoublement de le Canada Community Building Fund pour quelques années et c'est une politique clé du Parti vert sur le climat. Bien sûr, la représentation proportionnelle est aussi essentielle parce que sans cette politique, c'est possible pour le conservateur à éliminer le progrès.
Très bien, merci. Jonathan?
Look, our policies are so good that other parties steal them constantly. They constantly steal them, and we need to be better at saying that the original is much better than the copy. One thing that I don't hear too much here, un truc que j'entends pas vraiment ici, c'est la nécessité aussi d'avoir une action internationale forte. Le Canada est un joueur important sur la scène internationale. J'ai entendu M. Trudeau raconter en 2015 et dire « Canada is back ». Moi, j'ai travaillé à l'étranger pendant 14 années. For 14 years, I've been working abroad and I haven't seen Canada back. Canada can take and need to take a much stronger role in fighting for human rights, but also for climate action. Because at the end of the day, we need to do much more here at home. But if we aren't able to address issues of global inequality, of having strong systems to share energy between nations and decolonize our international relations, at the end of the day, none of this will serve and we will suffer together. So we need to be better. We need to be more out there. Canada and the Greens can do that job.
Merci beaucoup. Sarah Gabrielle, your last word on this topic.
Capitalism is killing us. And that's a pretty big concept. And Greens are the only political philosophy in the world that has the strength to tackle that right on. We are very logical people. And you'll see in my platform under sustainability, sur durabilité, that there are macroeconomic ideas and microeconomic ideas the Greens have been providing for decades around moving us away from that capitalist system.
Merci beaucoup. This question goes for Simon Gnocchini. How would you earn the confidence of the Canadian who may have lost interest in the party since the 2021 election?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So I think it's central. I think that's what we are doing right now. Like, we're showing that we're professional, we're very able to work together, that we do our homework, that the party has great politics, and we need to focus on what's important. And we were just talking about it, climate change, and that's where we need to go. So I think that by doing the things right, by working together, by putting upfront our policy regarding climate change and a green economy, Canadians will want to join the movement and make it grow, because right now we are the avenue for a green future. We were talking about it, like the other party talk, but they don't act. So we need to keep working hard. We're a progressive party. So that means all kinds of ideas are coming. People are talking, people are exchanging, people are passionate about what they're doing. So they bring their idea, they want to fight for it. And sometimes it creates a moment where some people have some deception, and that's part of building together. So we will show that we're able to manage all that, that we will collaborate, get along, and be a model of professionalism and work forward. But I'm saying it again, we need to bring climate change as our priority and work on that, and keep working with our MPs that are already there, bring new MPs, build the movement that will keep going forward. And I think that's what we need to do for our grandchildren and our children, and for all the citizens. Merci.
Eh bien, Jonathan, your rebuttal.
Well, clearly, we have a deficit of trust within the party, and we need to address that. Il y a un déficit de confiance à l'intérieur du parti, puis si on doit demander la confiance des Canadiens, il faut d'abord et avant tout qu'on se prenne en main, qu'on apprenne les uns les autres, qu'on écoute surtout, et qu'on soit sur le terrain pour rencontrer les gens où ils se trouvent. We need to be where people are. We need to meet them where they are and bring them along. But in order for them to trust us, we need to show the confident, happy face of the Greens that I've been able to see in so many different places in BC, Alberta, Quebec, and the Maritimes. And that face, that confidence that the Greens have, this love that the Greens have for their neighbors, for their communities, that is what will bring Canadians back to us. But in order for that to shine, we need to trust one another internally and make sure that our structures are representative and function well together.
Walcott.
Merci beaucoup. We absolutely need to do the work of rebuilding the trust within our party. We need to mend the bridges and find common cause to move forward together. Once we do the work of getting our house in order, what Anna and I envision is building structures that we can build leadership within our party, so that the leadership within our party can build leadership within communities. We want to invest in our members, and we want to invest in our local electoral district associations. And our vision for the future of the party is one where the Green Party of Canada is a resource in each and every community in Canada, helping citizens manage the levers of government, using the skills that we've learned through our careers to help members learn these skills and to help members pass on that knowledge to citizens, so Greens can be active on the ground and a resource for positive change within communities. That is how we build trust, and that's how we show that we are relevant and useful, and not just once every 4 years trying to get money and trying to get new memberships, but every single day, because Greens lead by action and we lead by example.
Merci. Anna Keenan.
Cool. I'll take this question a slightly different direction. I think this is about cultural change within the Green Party. I think for too long we have focused so much on sustainability in our external policies in the public life of Canada that we've actually neglected sustainability within our own party. And we need to take care to apply our values just as much to our internal workings as we purport to do so for all of Canadian society. I think we need to be careful of a culture of urgency where we focus so much on the external crises that we're not investing long-term in the stability of our party. And we've seen the results of that in the last few years where our systems have not held up to stresses. And both Chad and I have strong backgrounds in organizational governance. We are willing to do that patient work. Co-leadership is also one way that we hope to demonstrate a culture of collaboration from the very top of the party that will echo outwards through the whole.
Très bien, merci. On va aller avec Sarah Gabrielle Baron.
Yeah, I've been a member since 2005. I've been devoted to Green political philosophy since 1991. And I've been waiting for this promise of participatory democracy, a decentralized power structure to come true. You'll see in my platform, sarahgabriellebaron.ca, that my inward strength ideas on how to get us growing and valuing our volunteer base is more extensive than my outward facing policy. I'm the leader who is ready to make this dream come true. We need to go to restorative justice, not investigative, punitive justice styles. We need to our volunteers are our superpower. There's so many cool things going on in the party in the background. And we need to have solidarity circles so that equity, diversity, and inclusion, so that Greens who are seeking each other can find each other. I'll be providing that. And we need to be true to our own constitution.
Elisabeth May.
Thank you. Well, the question of how we rebuild trust with Canadians, I don't disagree with anything that's been said here in terms of rebuilding. I think we sometimes as Greens don't really take enough account of the fact that due to pandemic, the people who are elected and volunteering and working so very hard on council and in other bodies have never been all together in the same room. Jonathan and I are very committed to bringing people together in a retreat that allows us to build the bridges and create the trust between one Green and another. But that said, you need somebody who's trusted as a Green leader so they see a familiar face and Canadians say, okay, I know the Green Party, and we need to start early in nominating candidates. We need to get out on the ground with the Green Party University, going into communities, helping EDAs, helping campaign managers, helping candidates. Et pour expliquer nos politiques, c'est vrai qu'il y a une situation d'urgence, mais on doit faire le travail sur le terrain et demain.
Alors, Monsieur Simon, vos dernières impressions?
Alors, je suis d'accord avec tous mes collègues. On parle souvent de sujets qui sont délicats, qui ne sont pas les plus plaisants et que les gens souvent veulent éviter, hein? Les changements climatiques, les ressources équitables pour tout le monde, la pauvreté. Donc, ça fait en sorte que c'est des sujets lourds. Alors, c'est à nous de faire en sorte que ça soit plaisant tout de même à travers tout ça et de travailler ensemble et de prévenir et nous assurer qu'on ne va pas d'une crise à l'autre, mais qu'on va de l'avant et qu'on construit ensemble pour le futur et le bien du parti et du Canada.
Maintenant, c'est à vous, Chad Walcott. Alors, le taux d'inflation au Canada fait augmenter le coût de la vie. Que peut faire le gouvernement fédéral pour atténuer en fait la vie chère, cet effet en fait sur les Canadiens?
Ouf, c'est la question difficile de l'heure, justement. Je crois que d'abord, avant tout, puis je vais me répéter encore une fois, parce que je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de problèmes qui sont générés justement de notre industrie de l'énergie du fossile. En ce moment, justement, plusieurs Canadiens font face à l'inflation. On voit les prix de nos épiceries augmenter jour à jour. On voit le prix de nos maisons, de nos appartements, de notre vie à tous les jours augmenter sans cesse. Mais les propriétaires dans l'industrie fossile, eux, voient leurs profits justement monter sans cesse aussi. On doit avoir l'audace de réguler cette industrie-là, d'aller les taxer et de réinvestir dans nos communautés. De réinvestir pour justement contrer l'inflation, de réinvestir pour investir dans plus de maisons, dans notre système de santé. C'est sûr qu'une grande partie du problème d'inflation qu'on voit aujourd'hui est aussi due à des causes qui sont à l'extérieur de notre contrôle. Justement, la chaîne d'approvisionnement international est encore, malgré le fait qu'elle se répare, elle est encore en désarroi. On doit, c'est un peu à l'extérieur de notre contrôle, mais on doit aussi être des leaders sur la scène internationale, comme Jonathan le disait tout à l'heure, pour arranger ça, malgré le fait que c'est quelque chose qu'on a un peu moins de contrôle. Mais ici, chez nous, on doit avoir l'audace de justement taxer les industries qui abusent puis qui font de l'extraction de nos ressources naturelles et de réinvestir cela à contrer l'inflation puis à aider les Canadiens qui ont des problèmes au jour à jour. Donc, voilà.
Bien, merci. Anna Keenan, it's your time for rebuttal.
Oui, le cause de l'inflation, c'est multiple. La maison, le prix du gaz, le prix de nourriture, c'est toutes les choses à causer par les choses différentes. Donc, to regulate the inflation in housing prices, we know that the primary cause of that is the financialization of the housing sector. We've got these real estate investment trusts that are buying up huge numbers of houses and apartments in Canada. We need to regulate them. We need to make sure that housing is for people first, not for making a profit from. We need to not be afraid to do that. For the price of gas, we need to end the addiction. Nous sommes accros le fossil fuels. And if we can transition away from the addiction, then we can transition forever away from paying for the inflated cost of gas at the pump. Food is a whole other sector. Greens have solutions.
Merci. Sarah Gabrielle.
You'll see in one of my press conferences that I addressed inflation, and I put the blame directly on the Stephen Harper and Pierre Poilievre governments that brought in free trade agreements like the FIPA that create unfair trading systems, unfair to Canadians. We lose control of our own ability to protect our air, our water, our soil. And it's these legal systems that allow international trading partners to control our own ability to protect ourselves that are at the root cause of inflation. We have to lay the blame at the feet of conservatives and neoliberals in general around the world. Greens have always advocated for fair trade, not free trade, and we need to keep that message simple.
Merci, Elisabeth May.
Thank you. I've been addressing the inflation issue in my community and in Parliament. We are dealing with, as Anna has said, a multiple set of crises that have driven up the price of things. And there was a post-pandemic splurge in spending that was expected, but it was supposed to be temporary. Then Putin invaded Ukraine. The price of energy, particularly fossil fuels, has taken off. And at the same time, we have the impacts of the climate crisis, making food more expensive, breaking supply chains. On doit expliquer que maintenant nous sommes dans une situation complexe, les solutions simples sont faux. On doit expliquer que maintenant, c'est un moment d'examiner notre qualité de vie and also our consumption patterns. We need to start talking as Greens about how we need to use less, consume less, and shrink our footprint, because we will not be getting to a rosier, happier 1950s existence. We have to change the way we're living so that we can simply live.
Merci beaucoup. Jonathan.
Absolument. Comme Elisabeth le dit, on se dirige vers des temps beaucoup plus difficiles. The IMF today came out with a very strong statement saying that we're headed straight into a potential recession after this period of inflation. That means that salaries and the economy in general will shrink while the cost of everything will continue to increase. And that, of course, brings about very concrete difficulties for average Canadians and people throughout the planet. And that brings anger and instability. There are solutions to this inflation crisis. One of them is looking at donut economics, looking at shorter circuits closer to home. As Sarah was mentioning, we are sadly entangled in a web of international free trade agreements that make that more difficult. But there are solutions to that. One of them is to qualify or talk about carbon emissions as a form of poison, which then allows us to extract ourselves from some of these agreements and tax some of these products more to encourage local production.
Merci beaucoup. Simon, c'est votre tour.
Oui, merci. C'est vrai que c'est complexe. Par contre, c'est important que le gouvernement joue son rôle et s'assure que les multinationales, les corporations n'utilisent pas ces moments où les gens sont dans des périodes de faiblesse ou d'insécurité pour augmenter leurs profits ou vraiment utiliser ces périodes-là pour profiter de la situation. Ça revient au gouvernement de s'assurer et de faire comprendre à ces compagnies qu'ils sont là, qu'on les observe et qu'il y a une limite aussi là, à profiter de la situation. Ça, c'est important. Puis je pense que présentement, ce n'est pas fait. On voit que des compagnies qui tiennent pas compte du tout de la situation et qui s'assurent d'augmenter leurs profits continuellement et qui, eux, n'écopent d'aucune conséquence, ce qui est complètement inacceptable. C'est le citoyen qui subit tout le contre-coup d'une crise. Et ça, c'est inacceptable, ce gouvernement, de faire en sorte de régler et équilibrer la situation.
Merci beaucoup. Chad, est-ce que vous avez un dernier mot pour ce topic?
Oui, absolument. Merci beaucoup. So I guess there will be one point of disagreement. It is not enough to lay the blame on other actors in the system. We as Greens need to take the lead in proposing bold and concrete solutions to move forward. And I mentioned it before, we need to break our addiction to fossil fuels and gas and gas guzzling cars, and we need to reassess what our priorities are as a nation. Our priorities should not be GDP and endless growth. It should be focusing on the well-being economy, focusing on our citizens first.
Parfait. Ceci conclut nos questions pour la soirée. Merci à tous et à tous pour vos réponses réfléchies. Les candidats auront maintenant une demi-minute pour la déclaration finale. And then we'll hear your first statement, Anna Keenan.
OK, merci. C'est une excellente discussion ce soir et merci pour tout le monde d'être ici avec nous. What Chad and I are offering is a fresh voice for the party, a fresh vision in leadership, and a new image for the party. I believe that for Canadians to turn the page on the difficulties of the last few years, we need to demonstrate that the party is capable of renewal. And I think that's the story that we are offering if either Chad or I win on November 19. We will be immediately appointing the other as deputy leader and working towards an evolution of the party's constitution to take into account co-leadership that is so successful in many other Green parties around the world, including in Germany and New Zealand, where Greens are part of government. This is a first step towards building the Green Party that Canada needs. The crises that we face as a nation can be met with the Green values, can be addressed with the Green values. Green values are needed now more than ever in history, and this is the moment for our party to rise like a phoenix from the ashes and to really build the number of seats that we have in Parliament, to take real power, to be part of negotiations about who forms governing coalitions. I believe we can do it. We've published our first 6 months plan a few weeks back. We invite everybody to read it, to get involved with our campaign. Please check out keenanwalcott.ca.
Thank you. Elizabeth May, your closing statement.
Thank you very much. Et merci beaucoup, Yasmina, pour ton travail ce soir comme modératrice. Look, I want to offer myself, and I cannot claim, and Anna says, we want fresh face, new face. Obviously, I'm the old face, but I swear that half of you, those of you who are half my age, will never keep up with me for a day. I'm ready to roll again. And that is part of my commitment to make sure that all of us in these boxes on Zoom get elected. We are a party on the rise. We are needed more than ever. And I believe that Canadians are looking for our voice to come back. And I don't want to come back in the same role I had before, which is why I have sought out, and I'm very happy, I'm just over the moon actually, about my partnership working with Jonathan Pedneault. Comme une équipe, ensemble, il est le plus jeune candidat dans cette course à la chefferie. Je suis évidemment le plus vieux, mais je suis, comme j'ai dit, dans le bonne santé, avec beaucoup d'énergie. Et aussi, je pense que nous sommes capables de faire les choses que, et c'est seulement honnêtement, ce n'est pas possible pour les autres d'offrir la même chose. It may not be fair, but the reality is our team, Jonathan and I, are the only ones who can offer that one of us is in Parliament right away, that we start making a bigger difference right away at a lower cost than any of the other candidates or teams can offer. No one does anything alone. It takes a team, and it takes change to reflect that.
Très bien. Merci beaucoup. Simon, ta déclaration finale?
Yes, I think the key word, like Elizabeth said it, like it's teamwork. And that's what I want to bring. Teamwork and make sure we're going forward. I have experience of managing people, bringing joy at work, make sure everything's going in the right sense, putting the effort, valorizing the effort. I think that's what we need to do. There's a lot of knowledge in the Green Party, a lot of people with energy and goodwill, and we need to make sure that we will tackle the climate change and put the priorities to the right place and work together. And that's very important. And if the members win, I'm pretty sure Elizabeth will be still at the House of Commons, and we will be a great team too, and work together and make sure that we will work for all the citizens and work for the Green members and make the different folder go forward. Donc, je pense que je suis en mesure de répondre aux besoins du parti actuellement, emmener un leadership posé, calme, qui va de l'avant et qui est en mesure de réguler les choses pour qu'on puisse bien travailler ensemble et nous orienter vers les dossiers les plus importants et ce qui est important pour les membres et pour les citoyens canadiens. Vous pouvez consulter mon site internet, simongmessier.ca. Vous allez trouver mon point de vue sur différentes politiques, mais en bout de ligne, c'est les membres qui vont décider. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Jonathan.
Merci, Yasmina. Les membres du Parti vert ont devant eux un choix difficile à faire, un choix qui va déterminer notre trajectoire en tant que parti, mais aussi en tant que pays. You Green members, amazing Green members, have a choice to make, and it will determine our trajectory, our future as a party and as a country. You're about to elect the people who will stand on the national stage to defend green policies against people like Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, Jagmeet Singh, et évidemment Pierre-Yves Blanchet. It's an important one. And if we choose wisely, we can hold the balance of responsibility in Parliament by 2025. We can negotiate our way into a coalition government and enact bold climate agenda. We need to have a party that supports its MPs. We need to have a party that empowers its EDAs, that learns from them, that nominates candidates early on so that we elect at least 12 MPs. Without MPs, we cannot enact any of the amazing policies that all of you have spent so much time working on. And these policies, again, are incredible, sont tellement bonnes que les autres les volent. Il faut qu'on rappelle à tout le monde que l'original sera toujours meilleur que la copie. You have a choice to make. It's yours. And I look forward to working with you in the future and with Elizabeth, of course.
Parfait. Sarah Gabrielle.
Merci. Thank you so much, Ottawa Centre Greens and Yasmina, for moderating. There can be no ecological wisdom without social justice, and no social justice without ecological wisdom. We all said nice words about Indigenous people at the beginning of this meeting, but not once has it come up during this debate. We have lost our Indigenous president. We've lost our Indigenous Ontario representative. I don't know what's going to become of the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Circle. None of us really talked enough about youth and having Greens on campus, on every campus across the country. We need to talk about division of powers, that politicians are politicians, and that our executive branch has autonomy to do what needs to be done. I've been a member for long enough to know that this grassroots dream of a decentralized power structure is what we've been waiting for. It's the promise that I'm giving Greens. Please, all of the disaffected Greens over the years, please come back to the party. Please support my campaign. We can make this dream come true. The Green promise is the promise around the world. The work that Elizabeth and Mike and other MPs are doing is really important at that level, and the grassroots is important too. We need a leader willing to do both, to give the collective the credit. Thank you so much for this evening, everyone.
Chad Walcott, votre déclaration finale.
Parfait, j'ai l'honneur d'avoir le dernier mot. Je l'utiliserai bien. Donc, il est essentiel, comme Anna a dit, que les Verts, c'est le moment pour les Verts, c'est le moment pour les valeurs vertes, c'est le moment d'élire 12 Verts au Parlement, incluant Elisabeth, incluant Mike Morris, ceux qui sont déjà là, disons 14 pour en rajouter 12 de plus. Mais pour le faire, on doit ramener notre maison à l'ordre. We have to get our house in order. And to do that, I believe Anna and I have the skills. We have 25 years of experience in nonprofit governance and conflict management. We believe we have the skills to get that work, hard work of rebuilding the party and rebuilding trust within the party done. I believe, and Anna believes as well, that if you communicate with an open mind, listen with an open heart, and find ways to speak about common ground, we can achieve anything together. You know, we're running on a campaign of renewal, responsibility, and results. And we are thrilled tonight to hear some of our ideas from our 6-month plan come out from some of the other candidates, notably the Green Leaders Network, notably investing in our EDAs, and having that decentralized power structure that it allows for leaders to build other leaders to build other leaders so that we can have a sustainable leadership model within our party. Anna and I are ready to get to work, to do the hard work of rebuilding our party on stronger foundations, more democratic and more inclusive. And as leaders, we absolutely look forward to working with Elizabeth and Mike Morris, who are in the House of Commons, to push for bold environmental policy. Merci. Thank you.
Merci Chad. Eh bien, ça conclut notre débat de ce soir. Les Verts et les Vertes de la région d'Ottawa tiennent à exprimer leur admiration et leur reconnaissance à ces 6 personnes qui se sont présentées à la course de la chefferie. Voting in the leadership race will take place between November 12 and November 19. If you are not a member of the Green Party, please visit greenparty.ca before October 12 so you can sign up and vote for one of these candidates. Le vote pour la cause de la chefferie se déroulera entre le 12 et le 19 novembre. Si vous n'êtes pas encore membre, visitez le site du Parti vert au partivert.ca avant le 19 octobre pour vous inscrire afin de pouvoir voter l'un des candidats présents ce soir. Thanks again for everyone for being here. Thanks again for being with us tonight, and have a good night. Merci beaucoup d'avoir été des nôtres ce soir et bonne nuit.
Merci et bonne nuit.
Merci.
Merci.
Bonne nuit.
Et merci Nick, tout le monde dans le Ottawa Greens. Merci Gillian.
Oui,
Bonne
merci
nuit.
à tout le monde.